Hello everyone, my name is Moji. You're watching a Bitcoin Bubble News channel. I can change the way I think about how to fund or develop my country. I have different ideas about how to make each product and service unique. Things like life insurance and annuity goods, which we use every day, will be messed up or even become non-material. There is an entire business that moves around $400 trillion worth of assets around. This means that we have $400 trillion worth of analog assets from the 20th century that are not being used efficiently. Today, Michael Saylor talks about the 21 rules of Bitcoin in even more depth. He also talks about the 21 rules of BBC's most important rule and how inflation and deflation have a big impact on our economy. He does this by comparing perfect money to the way things work in the real world. It talks about how Bitcoin can change businesses and even imagines a time when Apple is a major player in the banking game. Michael also says Bitcoin's value will rise very quickly and hit $10 million per coin. If you look at economic animals, I think the corporation is the most well-known one in modern times. A company has an average lifespan of just over 10 years. If your business lasts more than 10 years, you've lived longer than most people. The number of businesses that have been around for more than 100 years. How many people in the world live to be over 100? Like 0.01% or 0.1%. How many businesses make it to be more than 100 years old? 0.001%. What if I told you I could make your business last forever? That's very deep. We're talking about getting rid of business death. We're talking about quickly increasing the amount of money in circulation by 10 times, 100 times, or 1 million times. How will that change the world then? Well, it won't change society everywhere in the same way. Gibson says that the future is already here, but not everywhere. Present day, some people in New York City live in buildings with 80 floors or more. And some people live in mud huts in Africa. And if you look hard enough, you can find groups of people who are still living in Neolithic Stone Age ways. Some people would die if the power went out in their lift. Okay, and such a huge change. Some things you should think about are that Bitcoin is pure digital capital, which means it can be used to fund a family, a person, a business, an institution, a charity, a nonprofit, or even a country or city. Or a college, right? As a slang phrase, we throw the word capitalize around like this. Oh, you're going to capitalize on that. Okay, what if you think about it? That's because economics has been a fake science and capital has been more of a word used in the liberal arts. What do you think capital is? You could ask people on the street. You asked them before Satoshi, and I told you about Bitcoin before that. It's not clear what answer they would give you. They would say something like Karl Marx said doing something with it was bad or greedy. But the word is so vague. But now that Bitcoin is gone, capital is the energy of the economy. I also give you something that can store economic energy. Let's say I can store economic energy in a digital asset. Then I might be able to move the capital at high frequency at the speed of light, which would let me move it through space. Okay, is it possible to rotate capital at 10 megahertz? You can change speeds. You can make a 10 megahertz signal out of a 10 kilohertz signal. It's likely that you could hear. Okay. So when you vibrate energy at certain levels, you get a result, right? We've never been able to work with capital. We could write code. In other words, Bitcoin lets you program and send money through space and time. In the long run, it means that we might be able to do things like make global payments for 8 billion people at the speed of light using their phones and no middle company. Okay, that's pretty cool. What if I'm an AI bot and I want to go on a trip through cyberspace? How do I do 100 deals every second? Okay, that's kind of cool. That can't be done without digital wealth or digital energy. But there is also the question of how to send a lot of money 100 years ahead of time. Assange was freed from the high-security Belmarsh prison in the UK on June 24th after he and US officials came to an agreement. As soon as he was free, he took a private plane from London Airport to a spot in the U.S.-controlled Northern Mariana Islands. On June 26th, Assange admitted that he had broken the U.S. Espionage Act by leaking secret papers. The trick was meant to keep Assange from coming to the United States. Stella Assange's wife said that though her husband is free, it costs a lot. He needs to pay the Australian government $520,000 for the forest. Stella set up a crowdfunding page to help the founder who was in jail pay off his bills when he got back to Australia. But on June 24th, buyers stepped in and pushed the price back above $62,000 in less than 24 hours. That was the lowest it had been in 6 weeks. Trader Joel saw that some buyers were coming back at the lows, with the $60,000 area working as support. I think we run it back to $63,500 before the end of the week, he wrote on X on June 25th. If hashtag Bitcoin can lock in a lower time frame higher low today, if you do that, Red Monday Green Week will happen. With a stock, I can't do it. Please name a company from the past 100 years that is still around and whose stock is worth more now than it was back then. It sounds like it would be pretty hard, right? That means that sending economic energy through time and space has been more of a dream, right? Or an art form than it was ever a field of science or tech. There is now an exact way to move money around, store money, and capitalize thanks to Bitcoin. It takes something from the artistic, religious, and political realms and moves it into the engineering realm. I think your question is how the world will change. Very deeply. Yes, I can make an AI that can live in cyberspace and be funded by Bitcoin. This AI will live forever. The economic death that comes from that is totally separate from a company, a person, or a country. This AI might be able to split into tens of millions of separate, independent AIs like a virus. It's a living thing, right? Yes, I could give Bitcoin to a university, a nonprofit, or a trust, and it might last for 1,000 years without anyone having to work for it, right? I'm able to make new kinds of things. There is no guarantee that the companies I make will last 10 years. I can also make a business that it's likely to last for 100, 500, or even 1,000 years. I can have different jobs. I can change the way I think about how to fund or develop my country. Because of this, I think about how I build each product and service in a different way. Yes, life insurance and annuity goods, which are things we use every day, will all be affected. They might not be made of matter anymore. There is a whole business that moves assets worth about $400 trillion around. So we have $400 trillion worth of old assets from the 20th century that aren't being used well. This RSI shows how much an object is overbought or oversold at a certain level every day. It is a moving trend following indicator. In a post on June 24th, BTC paints an exciting picture. The expert said that the daily RSI for Bitcoin had not been this low in almost a year. In fact, it wasn't oversold since BTC was worth $26,000 ago. Get ready for summer. Bitcoin has gone up the most in the past when the RSI is below 70, which means it has been sold too cheap. This could lead to steady bounces that last for a long time before the BTC price rise is stable. Something was also said about Bitcoin falling below $60,000. Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Dad is so sad. Dad was really upset because he thought this was a chance to get more land. Bitcoin is going down in value, so people who own it should sell it. Says in a new post on X, I'm going to buy more soon. Kiyosaki, a famous author, said that people who are afraid of Bitcoin crashes should sell their things and keep their jobs when the market goes down. You should sell your things and keep your job if crashes scare you. This is what most workers should do. The latest Bitcoin crash was partly caused by selling pressure from the now defunct cryptocurrency exchange Mt. The manager of Mt. said on June 24th that the company would pay back its debts in July. As part of the plan to fix the problem, creditors will get their money back in Bitcoin and Bitcoin